Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of 2 Corinthians. I got up to chapter 7, verse 10, and this again is fairly complicated. You'll need to have a look at the commentaries on this. I think partly complicated by the fact that Paul is referring to things that we don't know a lot about and doing it fairly obscurely. So, starting at verse 10 here, it refers back to this lupe, this grief, kata theon, literally according to God. So in God's way or something. The exact meaning of this is not quite clear. So he begins, Hagar katatheon lupe metanoian es soterian a metameleton ergazdatai. So for the grief, which is according to God literally, and I mentioned in the previous recording that could be something like in God's way, this grief which comes from God or is according to God. It ergazdatai, it works repentance, and we get the adjective metameleton. This is connected with metamelio to regret, and there we've got an adjective here with an alpha privative, and it's two termination, but it is going with metanoian. So for the grief which is according to God, works repentance, which is without regret, eis soterian, leading to salvation, heider to kosmule lupe, thunaton kat ergazdatai. But the grief of the world works, slightly stronger form of that verb, works or brings about death. Idugar auto tuto to katatheon lupe thenai, posein kat ergaseto, who means spudain, ala apologian, ala agonactesin, ala phobon, ala epipothesin, ala tselon, ala ekdikesin. For behold, now the auto tuto is something like this very thing, and then in apposition to that is tot plus the articular infinitive, the to be grieved, so the grief in God's way has wrought for you such zeal. This is the posein, goes with the spudain, of course. So something like, so for behold, this very thing, grief according to God, has wrought such eagerness for you, such zeal for you. Now the other is like slightly odd here. It's as though he'd written umonon here, which he hasn't, in the sense of not only but also. You normally have umonon ala kai is the idiom, and so I think that's what was intended here. So it's sort of like but understand also. Apologian, probably something like, well, it means defense or perhaps self-indication. In other words, they were keen to distance themselves from the particular problem that Paul had written to them about. We get another Allah. We'd have to just translate and, or perhaps but also, if you will. The agonactasis is a third declension noun. It means something like indignation, but the noun only occurs here. So something like indignation, and or but also fear, but also epipotheson, also longing or desire, but also zeal, but also ekdikesin. Well, the word can have various meanings. It can mean punishment, which I think it does here, punishment of the person who had done the wrong thing. Others, it can also mean vindication, so others translate it that way. So again, you need to look at the commentaries on this for the various opinions. So difficult verse, this one. So just to do it again very quickly. So for behold, this very thing, grief which occurs according to God, has wrought such zeal for you, and also, and I'll just put an and here rather than all these buts, so, and also self-vindication, indignation, fear, longing, zeal, and probably something like punishment. En panti sun estesati hiatus hagnus einai to pragmati. This is that verb sun histemi, which we've seen Paul use a few times now, to approve of something. So in each matter you have shown yourselves, you have approved yourselves, or shown yourselves to be hagnus, holy in this matter. Ara e kai egrapsa humin uk heneken tu adikesantos, uden heneke tu adikethentos. It goes on to the next page, so I'll just do that much. Ara, accordingly, if also I wrote to you, understand, it was not on account of the one who did wrong. So I did not write to you on account of the one who did wrong, nor on account of ha adikethentos, the one who had been wronged. So it's the same verb, but we get a passive participle there. Not on account of the one who was wronged, but on account of, now we get heneka 2 plus the infinitive. So we might say because, on account of, or perhaps because, or so that, your zeal, the one which you have on behalf of us, phanerothenai, might be made manifest to you before God. It's a funny combination of words here, but that's literally what it says. So I did not write on behalf of the one who did wrong, nor on behalf of the one who was wronged, but on behalf of, or perhaps so that, your zeal, which you have on our behalf, might be made manifest to you before God. Diatuto parakeklematha. This is a perfect passive from parakaleo. On account of this, we have been encouraged. Epidete paraklese humin peris soteros malon ekaremen epite karatitu hoti eni pepautai top pneuma autu apopanton humon. Now the epi here with the dative, I think it probably means something like, in addition to our consolation. So in addition to our consolation, we have rejoiced even more abundantly or more excessively at the joy of Titus, because this is perfect passive from anapao, in the sense of given rest to, so he's been set at rest, so his spirit has been set at rest, we might say set at ease in English. We'd expect hupo after the passive, but we get apo, probably apo from in the same sense as hupo here. So has been set at rest by all of you. So to do that bit quickly, so in addition to our consolation, we have rejoiced even more excessively at the joy of Titus, because his spirit, his pneuma, has been set at rest by all of you. Hoti a tiauto hupa humon kekalchemai uk kateskunthen alahos panta en alethea elalesamen humin hutos kai he kalkesis humon he epititu alethea egenethe. because if I have boasted, perfect here from Kalkaamai, if I have boasted in any way to him on behalf of you, I am not ashamed. Literally, I was not ashamed. It's probably an epistolary aorist here. It's an aorist from Katai Skuno or Katai Skunamai. So I am not ashamed, or literally I was not ashamed, but since we spoke to you all things in truth, probably in aletheia, but the adverb here. So since I have spoken to you all things in truth, thus also our boasting, the one epititu, now it's epi plus the genitive here, probably something like which we boasted to Titus, has turned out to be true. So just to do that bit again, but if I have boasted in any way to him on your behalf, I'm not ashamed of it, or I was not ashamed of it, but almost since all the things I have spoken to you in truth. So I spoke to you all these things in truth. So it's hos plus hutos. So just as we spoke to you all things in truth, thus also, that's what I should have said before, I think, the hos with the hutos. Thus also our boasting, the one which we boasted to Titus, has turned out to be true. Kai ta splankna autu perisoteros es humas estin anamimne scomenu tan panton ham humon hupakoain hos metaphobu kai tromu dexes the auton. And the last bit, Cairo hoti en panti tharo en humin. Splankna is something like affections. So, and his affections towards you. Now, neuter plural singular verb. So, his affections towards you are even more excessive. The affections of him, and then agreeing with the autu, we get a genitive participle. So, when he remembers tain hupakoain, the obedience of you all. How edexesti from decamai, how you received him with fear and trembling. I rejoice that thorough I am that in each matter I am confident in you. This is from now an adjective, tharsos, meaning boldness or confidence. This is the verb thario, epsilon contract verb. So I rejoice that I am confident in each thing among you, or in you. Or perhaps rather, I rejoice that in each thing I have confidence in you, might be better here. And that is the end of chapter 7.